Good morning, everybody. So on today's video, I want to try to answer a question asked by a subscriber, Jason Devereaux. He asked, I have an 8 kilowatt heater, talking about the diesel heater like what's in my bus. So he's got an 8 kilowatt heater and said it doesn't get past 212 degrees. It slows down and stays around 204 or so. Is there a temperature gauge that shuts or lowers it so it doesn't pass 212? That I don't really know. I don't know about your specific model. All I know about is mine, and I know there's several of these types of heaters out there, of the Chinese heaters. Like here in the semi truck, I have an S-bar heater, which you might be able to hear it because it's kicking on right now. That's one thing I like about the S-bar, is it really controls the temperature in the truck a lot better. And it's in freedom height or Fahrenheit. But as far as like the Celsius or Fahrenheit 212 or it staying around 204, I do know these heaters have a temperature sensor in them, right? And I know there's two different ways that you can operate these the Chinese diesel heaters. One is you can operate it on a pulse rate by pushing, like on my model. I don't know about other models, but on mine there's 3 buttons on the controller, and if you press the 2 buttons, the middle one and the left side, click both of them at the same time, it switches the mode between either a set temperature or a desired temperature, or it sets it between either it tries to keep a desired temperature, or it sets it by a baud rate or a pulse rate that it will just run at that pulse. So in the testing on mine, I was running at a pulse rate at full maximum 5.5 pulse rate, which is, you hear that the fuel pump click 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 pretty quick. On the pulse rate, you can slow it way down. I forget what the lowest setting is, but you can slow it way down where it's just like tick 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 tick. No, it's really pretty slow. Maybe slower than what I was just doing, but you kind of get the idea, right? Now, like the S-bar heater that I have in here in the semi, I cannot hear the fuel pump ticking. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can probably hear it now. It's not the fuel pump, that's the fan. It sounds almost like a jet engine. This thing's like firing up, trying to keep the truck warm. So I do now have some experience with S-bar, Webasto. It's been years since I used a Webasto, but S-bar, Webasto. I think this S-bar in this truck is like pretty stinking good. And then the Chinese diesel heater, which mine I think is the 8 kilowatt. It's been a minute since I done that video, the video that he is commenting on. Yeah, it's been about a year, I think, since I did that video. So some of the questions in there is like kind of hard for me to remember what all was in that video without me going back and watching that video. And you guys have to understand, like, I do a lot of videos, and so I get a lot of questions and stuff like this, and it's really hard for me to try and go back and spend the time to watch a video over again to try to figure out exactly what it was that you're talking about. I kind of know what you're talking about because I know I was reading a temperature coming out of the exhaust on it, and so I don't know if that's what Jason's talking about here or what. Okay, but yes, those diesel heaters, the Chinese diesel heaters, at least the one I have, has a combustion chamber temperature sensor that's like attached to the side of the combustion chamber. And if that thing is faulty, then the machine won't even run, because it will think that the flame went out, right? If it doesn't sense an increase in temperature, then it's going to shut it down and throw a fault code. He says, I'd like to add, I have the tank with the unit combined, and it has a temp gauge on it. I have no idea what he's talking about there. It kind of sounds, because he's talking about the tank. So I'm wondering if he's talking about a temp gauge on the tank or a temp gauge on the control unit. I'm guessing temp gauge on the control unit. So yeah, sounds like he just got this thing, got it hooked up, and now he's got a billion questions, which will probably be answered if he watches more of other people's videos. But anyways, yeah, that's about all I have on this. I just want to add something I've learned over the last year with my heater and the S-bar in here in the truck, is you want to run your diesel heater at full maximum for about 10 minutes before you shut it down. And yeah, you don't want to just shut it down all of a sudden, especially like in the truck. If you turn the ignition key on in this semi, it shuts the S-bar heater down immediately instead of like letting it cycle down. So yeah, don't do that. If you're a CFI driver and you're driving one of their trucks, remember to turn off your S-bar heater before you turn the ignition key on. So anyways, I got to start my day this morning. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. My 10-hour break is up. It's time for me to roll. So I just figured I would try to answer this question real quick in a video for you, Jason. Really not sure about what exact heater you've got. I would need a lot more information, but I'm pretty sure if you were searching for all the information on your heater to send the question to me, you would probably discover the answers about it. So anyways, I guess that's all I have for today. Hopefully that was helpful to some of you guys, or hopefully I put some information there that's helpful. Like I said, there's 2 different ways to operate them. You can set a temperature, and that heater will get up to that temperature and then it will slow down, right? Or you can set it at a pulse rate to run that way. And the way you switch between those, at least on my unit, is the middle button and the left button. Those 2 buttons, push both of them at the exact same time, and it switches it between those 2 operating modes. It can be running, and you can switch between those 2 modes while it's running. But yeah, if you're setting it to either one, just run it at full max, for 10 minutes before you shut it down. All right, that helps burn off the soot and any kind of if you're getting like crusties built up inside the burn chamber, which I was getting a lot of that from the used motor oil. I have no idea what it looks like in there now. I've kind of changed the mode of operation. I don't just shut it off from a low temperature anymore. That is one thing I was doing wrong before the previous video, is I was shutting it down. Hang on, it's getting warm here. I got to turn this thing off. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that thing's running full blast. What was I saying? So anyways, I would be running the heater on a lower setting because I was getting a lot more BTU from the used motor oil, right? So I had to run it at a lower setting because it's getting warm in the bus, okay? But then I would just shut it down and not turn it up, The other thing is like you probably need to figure out like how many hours you should run it on low before you turn it up on high. I like to run mine on a pulse rate. That way it's just kind of easier for me to control. I set the pulse rate myself. Yeah, that requires a lot more attention with the unit to kind of keep the temperature at a certain rate. Because if you set it at a desired temperature, then the machine senses what the ambient temperature is outside, and it just speeds the machine up to try to bring it up to that temperature. Once it gets up to that temperature, then it lowers the pulse rate automatically for you, right? So it's kind of more like having a thermostat set, but it's not exactly like a thermostat because I don't know, it's not fully automated. Either you turn it on or it doesn't turn on. If it had actual thermostat like a household heater, then the unit could actually go through a shutdown cycle, shut down, and then fire back up when necessary. Bad thing is like once you turn it on, like if I needed to leave the bus and leave that diesel heater running while I'm gone for a day, I can't really do that because it would stay running continuously and get really hot during the daytime when temperature's not that low. So anyways, way more information than what he asked, but anyways, hopefully this was useful for some of y'all, and yeah, I guess we'll see you on the next one. If you got some questions about a video that I've made, try to put as much information in there as you can to help me help you. All right, so hope you guys have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next one. Later.